Theo Caldwell on In-Depth Radio, News Talk 1010.
Yes. You know what this reminds me of, Patrick? This reminds me of that meeting that we had this week. You remember? Where the head of Bell Media called us into his office. Remember this? And goes, I got to do something here. I can't believe it. I got to give you your dream shot. I got to send somebody from this station to Miramar. You two characters are going to Top Gun. Remember that, Patrick?
Absolutely. He demanded it.
Yeah. Now, Top Gun, of course, is how people in the industry refer to this station, News Talk 1010. That's how we got here. And the head of Bell, I don't even know who the head of Bell is, if it's a he or a she, or if we're even allowed to say anymore.
It's a secret individual.
Well, just, we're such a conglomerate. Anyway, Top Gun. What do you think about that for a name for the program, Patrick? Maybe Pile?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
It's on the giant mountain of maybes.
Yeah. We should just run this in a loop, the whole broadcast. It's so good. The Top Gun anthem. Theo Caldwell here with you, ably assisted by Patrick O'Neill on the technical board. And then, of course, from Top Gun, and we'll tell you why later on in the hour. As I said, I was talking about the head. I don't even know who the head of Bell is, and I said, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, and I started to say, I'm not sure if we're even allowed to say that nowadays, because gender, as we call it, is so fluid nowadays. And you know me, Patrick. You know that on and off the air, I have prided myself over the years in not talking about sex too much. I don't want to. Honestly, I don't want to. I don't want to talk. I don't want to have a career where I'm discussing stuff below the equator. But you and I, Patrick, in recent broadcasts have had no choice. Just when we think we're out, they pull us back in. We're talking about Caitlyn Jenner, gay marriage, gay pride. It's constant, right?
They've dragged us into the gutter with them.
Well, even if it's the gutter, it's just, you know what? It's not prudishness on my part. It's not prudishness. It's boredom, man. It's boredom.
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about sex lives. But you know something? Every week in the news, it's always something to do with people's sex lives. And I have a very laissez-faire attitude, which is French for get the hell out of my face. I don't want to talk about it. I don't care. I don't care if you need to put an armadillo down your trousers, okay? Just don't ask to borrow my armadillo.
Exactly. I was going to say, you keep away from our armadillos.
But, shout out Dennis Miller, by the way. But this is why I'm on this. While you and I were away, and over the past week plus, there have been all kinds of issues to do with sex lives. And we just finished talking about Bruce Jenner, right? We just did an award-winning broadcast. Half the thing was about Bruce Jenner,
It was
Caitlyn Jenner.
the last topic of the last show.
Oh, for God's sake. All right, and this is what I got to deal with now. But I'm going to try to do something award-winning on this broadcast. As we're kind of going through the news of the week, but I want to talk about a couple big issues. I want to talk about conformity, all right? And I want to talk about it in the context of two big news stories we've seen over the past couple of weeks. And then we'll go through the days of the week as we do, as Patrick and I do. Two things that happened. One, and this is an ongoing story, this whole Confederate flag situation down in South Carolina. Well, throughout the United States now. But as you know, we reported on this program and elsewhere on this station, there was that horrific shooting in Charleston, South Carolina a couple weeks back. 9 people killed by this maniac, Dylan Roof. Nutcase, okay? 21-year-old. Crazy. And he deliberately did it. He's a white guy, deliberately did it, killed 9 black people, And I have said on this program, and I don't think anyone would disagree with me, the courage and strength of the loved ones of the victims. That was impressive, the way they stood in court and forgave the guy. What I have found less impressive is the way this incident has been used to politicize all kind of stuff. Here's what happened. The left first tried to do a gun control thing in the United States. And then it didn't work. And so then they went off on, I don't know, racism, white racism. That hasn't really caught on, except for the Confederate flag. So they've basically banned the Confederate flag anywhere. You can buy Third Reich Nazi stuff. You can buy Al-Qaeda stuff. You can buy ISIS stuff on eBay, or various other, or Amazon. But you can't buy the Confederate flag. The guy who owns the General Lee, the car from Dukes of Hazzard, he said he's painting over the Confederate flag on the roof. And look, I understand if some people are offended by the sight of the Confederate flag. But does anyone on planet Earth actually think that the banning of a flag that means more than slavery, by the way, I'm not going to get into it, but means more than slavery, certain to people in the South. And I don't know who you are, gentle listener, but I know more about the American South than you do, I promise. And I can tell you that while it may be offensive to some people, does anyone think that the flag is what's responsible for what happened in South Carolina? Does anyone actually think that?
Well, when they ban the Confederate flag, that will be the end of racism.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's a guy I guess I kind of work with because I'm sometimes on the same websites as him. A guy named Gavin McInnes. He's a pretty It's a smart, funny, very funny, smart guy. And he goes there.
Co-founder of Vice. He got fired for making transgender jokes, and now you could hear him on the AnthonyCumiaShow.com. He's one of my favorites.
Nice. Well, and you know, I'm not surprised Gavin McInnes is one of your favorites, because that guy goes there, man. Like a lot of guys like me, like, you make a decision in your career. Are you going to be the guy who goes there? Now, I've been filling my head with knowledge for like however old I am, like a long time. So I got a lot to say. So I don't want to be the guy who's always going there, because I don't feel like getting fired from Vice whenever. I feel like being able to have a broader audience. But I admire a guy who does it, okay? And anyway, Gavin McInnes had a great line about this thing. He's talking about the conformity of people demanding that the Confederate flag be expunged from society. And he talked about the people in the South, and he goes, they don't want to keep the Confederate flag because they're proud of slavery. They want to keep it because you said they can't. You follow me?
Absolutely,
like, they don't want to be
agree.
told what to do, okay? Nobody believes that racism should exist, at least, no decent person believes
No
in that.
sane person is pro-racism.
Yeah, but simultaneously, what sane person thinks that going back to an 80s TV show and painting over the car is the issue? You know what it's like? It might have been McInnes, I don't know who it was, who said something else along these lines. He goes, they do this all the time on the left. Something horrible happens, and then they say, well, something bad happened, so give us something that we want. Now, they've been declaring war on the Confederate flag from the left for a long time, right? A long time. And saying, oh, you're a racist, and oh, you're this, because they love to call people racist. But this is totally unrelated. Well, not totally unrelated, but it's such a side issue to what happened in South Carolina that it's being dealt with. So the ganging up over the Confederate flag, and it's been all over Facebook and Twitter, that's happened at the same time as, in the United States, the Supreme Court somehow, God knows, mandated, essentially, gay marriage looking in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Now, and then everyone went crazy all over the internet, too, and all over the news, right? Everyone just went nuts. Barack Obama lit up the White House with rainbow lights. It's apparently the only major news story that didn't catch his White House by surprise. He knew that decision was coming. The entire of Facebook, entire of Twitter, everyone's changing their what do you call it? Their pictures, their icons to
Every website
rainbows?
had a rainbow-themed background.
So on the one hand, you got everybody upset about the Confederate flag. On the other hand, everyone's face is a rainbow. My Facebook feed looks like the Confederacy got into a war with the Skittles factory. It's just crazy. But once again, and then after having the gay marriage decision, which happened right before gay pride started all over the world, but here in Toronto, again, I'm concerned not about the issue of gay marriage particularly, and not particularly about the Confederate flag. I don't care. What I am concerned about, though, is the unthinking conformism that I saw about both issues.
The blind pile-on.
Correct. Now, I've dealt with the Confederate flag issue, but let's deal with the gay marriage issue just for a second. I have an invited comment, but I'm getting it. People are talking about my skin color. Classy. Those of you texting me at 71010 about my skin color. Yeah, I'm not allowed to have an opinion because I'm a white guy. I got it.
No, you should be apologizing or scolding other
I know.
white
And
people.
I don't really know if I've expressed an opinion yet, but I do have questions. And these are genuine questions that I've got. With the gay marriage thing in the United States, look, something like 60% of people in the United States are already in favor of gay marriage. And that happened, as we've said on this program before, Patrick, ridiculously quickly. It was just in the last election, Barack Obama was saying he doesn't believe in gay marriage. The last liberal prime minister we had of this country, I remember him saying, oh, there's no chance we're ever going to have gay marriage in Canada, because it was so out there. And now all of a sudden, it's being approved by referenda in state after state in the United States. Ireland just approved it in a nationwide referendum. We have it here in Canada, and people generally are in favor of it.
In 12 years, it's a complete opposite of what it was.
I've never seen anything like it. But here's the point. This isn't about the law, and it isn't about the Supreme Court. It's about a shift in culture. Not even 30 years ago, the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court said there was no right to homosexual behavior in the Constitution. To the behavior, no right to it. That's what the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States said in 1986. If you said that today, you'd be kicked off the bench. Because, of course, not only is there a right, there's a right to get married. Now, here's a problem I have with it. Two problems. One, a lot of people have said, love wins. Hashtag love wins. It's all about love. It's all about love.
Boo.
Well, look, I'm all in favor of love. I have repeatedly spoken out in favor of love. I believe in love, okay? That's what keeps this broadcast together, love. I believe in that. But I don't think love needs to be ratified by a court. or a legislature or a president or a prime minister or anything else. So what I'm getting at here is it's not up to the Supreme Court to decide whom you can love. And this whole thing that they do, where they say, oh, you know, the right is trying to tell you who you're allowed to love. No, that's not true. And my concern with what happened in the United States is twofold. First, as I mentioned, the conformity. But everybody piling on, saying love wins. And I've never seen such sore winners in all my life as some of the people.
Yeah, that's right? The most irritating part.
Some of the people who've attacked anyone of faith, any faith, not just Christian, but any faith, but particularly Christian, anyone who has any kind of reservation about gay marriage gets attacked and gets the hell beat out of them, loses their job, loses everything. I don't like to see that. And no matter what your view is on gay marriage, maybe you should think that over. Think that over, whether that's, you know, what does that say? But here's the other thing, and this is what's bugged me about the whole gay marriage debate from the beginning. Everyone's asking the wrong question. Marriage, like society itself, is pre-political. It is not the province, in the term of art fashion. It is not the province of government. It's not up to the government to decide what marriage is. Now, again, going back to what I said about the armadillo, it's not my business whom you love, and I don't expect it to be anybody's business. But the idea that everyone's celebrating because a branch of a government short-circuited a process that was probably going to happen anyway. Eventually, gay marriage was going to be ratified by the voters, or at least the legislatures in the United States, if present trends continued.
Yeah.
But the idea that, oh, now it's okay because the court says so.
Why not? I totally agree. I think why not do what Ireland did and just let the people decide. I think in the U.S. it would be way closer. Yeah. But and I think gay marriage would probably win.
It's the same thing that happened with abortion in 1973 with Roe versus Wade. The tide was moving toward legalizing abortion anyway in the United States, but the Supreme Court jumped in and said, that's it. It's legal. That's it. And the problem is when you short-circuit something like that, it leaves everybody frustrated, and the argument is never over. But more importantly, something like marriage doesn't belong to government. If government wants to invest itself into two people loving each other and living together, be careful what you pray for.
Yeah, dangerous precedent, I would say.
Exactly. Anyway, look, this is way more than I want to say about this. Way more. But we're going to come back, and I have genuine questions about gay pride when we come back.
You're listening to Theo Caldwell on News Talk 1010.
Yeah. Remember this, the volleyball scene in Top Gun?
Speaking of gay marriage.
Listen, that happened organically, man. It's Theo Caldwell here with Patrick O'Neill. We're doing a Top Gun themed show. We'll tell you why in a little bit. But you know what, I've often, that is my benchmark for getting in shape. Could I do the Top Gun volleyball scene? Could I be, like I don't have to be Slider, but I don't want to be Goose with my shirt on, right?
Val Kilmer never looked so good.
That's true, although it's been pretty much a straight downward trajectory. Now, during the break, I'm going to let you take care of the phones, Patrick. We haven't given out, by the way. We haven't given the phone number in like 3 episodes, but people call and get upset, especially during the break. And a lot of people got upset on the phone at Patrick. He didn't trouble me with them during the break. Text me at 71010. Call if you want, 416-872-1010 or Star Talk, star 8255 on your mobile cellular device. If you're listening to us live on the radio. If you're listening to us on the podcast, just enjoy and you're welcome. Now, we had at least one person call and say, you guys are saying gays shouldn't be allowed to get married, right? Which is not what we said at any point.
The last thing I said before break is it should be up to the people,
right.
and gay marriage would probably win.
Yes, it would. And it has done. It won in Ireland, for goodness sake.
An ultra-conservative Catholic place.
Yeah, so it probably would. But here's the move. And this is the major point that I'm making. And I've made this for like 1,000 years, this point. Not that anyone cares, but, Stephen Harper's made the same point, too. Not that I agree. Forget that. All I'm saying is this. Government shouldn't be involved in marriage at all. It should not be involved in marriage at all. Marriage, like society itself, predates government. It is pre-political. Now, people on the left like to say dopey, idiotic, brain-stuntingly stupid things like government is what we all do together. That is crap. Government is not life is something we all do together, and even that's debatable. You're born alone and you die alone. But we sure as hell don't do government together.
Not even close.
I would say we do society together, but even that is entirely by choice. So government isn't all of us. Government doesn't represent all of us, and government is not the same thing as society or culture. And you don't believe me? Take a look at the change in the U.S. Supreme Court, as I mentioned in the last segment, from 86 to today. You think that's because the law has changed or the Constitution's been rewritten in the United States? No, it's because the culture has changed. And no matter how much judges and lawyers like to pretend that they're impartial, black-robed arbiters of the truth, they follow the culture. You read the love song of Justice Anthony Kennedy, that ridiculous opinion he wrote in favor of gay marriage. Now, you may believe in gay marriage, but as Chief Justice John Roberts said, don't you believe that the decision in the United States was about the U.S. Constitution or the law? It was about feelings. And Anthony Kennedy, the swing vote, who was the guy who voted in favor of gay marriage and made it happen, he'd say the same thing. His whole opinions about loneliness and love and this and that, as though love and loneliness are property of the government.
Yeah, it's so, I hate when people think that feelings is a legitimate reason for anything.
All right.
They don't matter.
All right, now here I got I think a good text here, but it's kind of incoherent. And Toronto, you know who you are. Text me back if I'm getting you right here. 9954 is who you are. Look, it's someone talking about government annuities, RRSPs, the benefits that spouses get if people are married. And here's a point that I thought about making. You look at marriage, and I've discovered for myself the paperwork, bureaucracy nonsense you go through just with traditional marriage. It's crazy. And it's all because the government gets its fingers. The government sucks at almost everything. And I say the government shouldn't be involved. But if you scratch the surface of almost all the stuff that government does when it comes to marriage, you know what it's about? Money and taxes.
They want to tax you.
It's about, exactly. It's about money and taxes and just the general incompetence of government. So I say to you that government shouldn't be involved in marriage at all. That's why, and I mentioned Stephen Harper. Let me clarify what I meant.
Gay or straight, by
Guys
the way.
like me who are on the right, Stephen Harper's on the right, although we're not friends. We don't speak to each other at the shrimp bar on the right, I assure you. We've been saying for years, like I've been saying my entire adult life, if government is going to be involved with two people living together in love, whatever, then they should treat any set of two people the same. Okay, that's a fact. But that's where you get to civil unions. But the idea that marriage is something that government defines is so insane, and it's so wrong. And these people with the rainbow thing on the Facebook and condemning anyone of faith who even has questions, like, for example, will you force Christian ministers and Muslim imams and Jewish rabbis, will you force them to perform gay marriages even though their religion specifically forbids them? Will you force them? I'm saying yes. I mean, it didn't even take a day before Time Magazine, the New York Times, all kinds of media outlets were saying there are not two sides to this. If you do not perform a gay marriage, you lose your tax benefits, you lose your right to be anything. So, but this is the question. Are you going to force people to violate their religious beliefs? I think, of course, the answer is yes. You're going to try to. And I say none of this fight needs to happen if you understand that marriage, like so much of life, is none of the government's damn business. All right, now I've taken too long on the gay marriage thing because I have genuine questions about the gay pride thing, which also happened this week. First of all, are we calling it gay pride anymore? People just say pride as opposed to gay pride.
You're not allowed to label things unless you're the group that is the label. So we're straight white guys, so we're not allowed to label anyone other than straight white guys. So for us, it's pride. For a gay person, they could call it gay pride. Otherwise, we're evil.
I don't know. Anyway, okay.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Of course it makes no sense. It's
and
crazy.
It's completely illegitimate, but you know.
But here's the thing. Gay pride, I have questions about it. Like, I want to know about the nudity. Honestly, I want to know why there's nudity. Now, and if there's nudity, because I don't go. Usually I used to get caught in traffic going to church because it's on a Sunday, and I get stuck in traffic, which would be kind of funny, right? And there's no point anywhere because I don't really go to my church as much anymore. Plus, they're out parading now in my Presbyterian church. They're out part of the parade, so there's no point. You can't even go. All right? But here's what I've heard on the internet, and text me if you've heard this and if it's true, that everyone's walking around naked. This is what I've been told.
It's not everyone, but there was definitely naked people.
I saw
the pictures.
There's a website called Blogwrath. I don't know the guy, but blogwrath.com, and it had pictures of the gay pride, or just pride, in Toronto. And people are completely naked, guys, completely naked, standing outside Metropolitan United Church, which was a majestic old building. And there's these guys who really shouldn't be naked.
Yeah, it's not Val Kilmer guys.
Yeah, it's like they can't do the beach scene from Top Gun. These guys, I tell you that right now.
That should be the standard.
Yeah. It'd be Top Gun, like a slightly different spelling and for a different audience. But here's the question I got. If that's happening, now, and first, two questions. One, why is that okay? Why is that not enforced? Right? We're all supposed to, it's a forced march. Every politician, every public figure has to be at the gay pride or just pride parade. But there are, even though it's not in the mainstream media, it's certainly on websites and there is evidence, everyone's walking around naked. And the second thing is this, and this is a genuine question. What does being naked have to do with being gay?
I've heard that during the 80s that gay men were forced out of bathhouses and not allowed to get dressed, and they were purposely made to be nude and dragged through the public in order to shame them. That's what I've heard.
Okay. Now, I'm going to start by saying I don't believe that that's accurate. I mean, I believe that you heard it. I just don't believe it. But the second thing I have to say is why? If this whole thing is about pride and about love and just who you want to love, why do you got to be naked? And if it's just about freedom and being free to love whomever you choose, what do you need the ball gag for? Like, what's all the weird stuff for? I don't understand, and why that's... Does anyone else... Does that strike anybody else as I don't know, a bit far? Like, a bit far. And is it true, what I've seen and what you seem to have seen, Patrick, that we don't see it all on the actual news and it's covered up? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. I think the news is purposely not showing it, but that's more for the broadcasting legality of broadcasting nudity as opposed...
But they don't even mention it.
No, they won't.
Okay. All right. Look, I want to say one last thing before we go to break. I mentioned the conformity to do with the Confederate flag thing, and I mentioned people who go there, like Gavin McInnes and Ann Coulter. My buddy Kathy Shadle, she just laid it right up. She made her avatar, whatever you call it on the Facebook, the Confederate flag. That's going there.
That's brave.
And she said, just to see what'll happen.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, for sure. This is Theo Caldwell. We'll be right back.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
This is Theo Caldwell on In-Depth Radio, News Talk 1010.
What about Maverick and Goose? If you and me, Patrick, can I be Maverick and you're Goose? Should we have, like, on-air names?
If that means I'm going to hit the top of my canopy and break my neck, then no, I don't want to be Goose.
Wait, give a plot spoiler before you do that, man. People might not have seen the picture since it came out in 1986.
I was going to say about 30 years now.
What about the title of the song, Danger Zone? Danger Zone with Theo and Patrick.
We're in the Danger Zone right now.
Oh, believe me, I've been reading the texts, and I know you've been getting the calls. Holy smokes, the Danger Zone. Well, I have questions, right? Everyone's calling me uptight and white. Like, I got questions. Genuine questions. Can I not ask questions anymore about gay marriage or about gay pride and
people
just called pride?
Who use white as like a dislike, there's automatically a negative connotation. That you got to understand how dangerous it is to start saying that, oh, if you're this race, it's automatically got this implication.
Well, exactly. Like it's if you're just joining us, you got a hell of a nerve. You've missed a tremendous broadcast. Well, just rewind because we're on the internet. But yes, it's. We've been talking a little bit about South Carolina and the Confederate flag, which I should clarify is the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia. It's not the Confederate flag, but we all know what it means.
Exactly.
Okay? And we've been talking about gay marriage and Gay Pride Week, which we've just called Pride now, right? For reasons that you explained to me that I don't understand. And I said a couple of things, and I want to move on. I want to get off this topic, but I just want to say before we do that, we had one of our callers, you said to me off the air, Patrick, was asking, wasn't it necessary for the Supreme Court in the United States to do this ruling in order to create the law to allow same-sex marriage? The answer to that is kind of no. One, the Supreme Court shouldn't be creating laws anyway, as you probably are aware. The legislature creates laws, the executive branch executes them, and the judicial branch is supposed to interpret them vis-a-vis the Constitution, okay? That's one. But two, don't be fooled what happened here in the United States. The Supreme Court didn't liberate gay marriage, didn't create the freedom for gay marriage. It mandated gay marriage. Do you understand the distinction? It said you have to have gay marriage no matter what your state thinks. And I'm saying to you, I don't care what you think about gay marriage. I really don't. I'm telling you that government should have nothing to do with marriage whatsoever. And I'm further telling you that if you scratch the surface of all government's involvement in your family and in your marriage and in the paperwork just to get married, whether you're two men, two women, man and woman, some old-fashioned people still do it that way, whatever it is, it's all about tax. It's all about money. And if you get rid of all that crap, if you get rid of it, do it with a consumption tax or do it with a flat tax, so you don't have to make decisions or at least change your status in life when it comes to taxes and earnings and property. based on what the government says. Get the government the hell out of your business. And one way to do it is government should have nothing to do with marriage, which predates government, predates the Supreme Court of Canada and the United States. Marriage is about religion. Government's not what we all do together. Government should stay the hell out of it.
Absolutely. You got to pay to get together, and then if one of you dies during the marriage, you have to pay again.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Government should have nothing to do with it. So everybody's celebrating, forget it. But, you know, I'm building to a point with this because I want to talk a little bit more about government in this section of the show. Let me do a few quick stories, and then I'll get back to this government should get the hell out of your life theme, which is one of my themes around here. But let me just do a couple of news stories that happened, okay? On Monday here in Toronto, the high occupancy lanes on the freeways started for this dopey, stupid Pan Am games that nobody cares about, right? And they started them like 2 weeks. So you can't get in the HOV lanes. So people are crammed on the freeways. I know that we've been talking about it to death on this station. Crammed on the freeways 2 weeks before the Pan Am games even start because they're training us. The province who's in charge of this, it's not John Tory's fault. It's actually the province's fault. They want to train us so we know what lanes we're allowed to drive in.
Like sheep.
Have you ever seen anything so stupid? And somebody was on the, I don't know who it was on my tour, he goes, yeah, I don't mind being 3 hours late for work just so Miroslav from Russia can make it to his weightlifting event on time.
A terrible idea, poorly executed.
Yeah, horrible, horrible. We'll deal with the Pan Am Games as the summer goes along. And probably as years go along, we're still paying off this ridiculous white elephant, right?
Yeah, it's going to cost us big
Was
time.
that racist to say white elephant like that?
Yes, you can't. Why would you say white?
It's a term.
There's plenty of
It's
great
a term
black
of art,
elephants.
man. Oh, no, you're right. Okay, listen, we're in the danger zone again. Okay, so that happened, but just watch this space for more complaints about the HOV lanes and the Pan Am Games. Stupid. So, yeah, honestly, I mean, does anyone even know what this is? I know everyone knows what the Olympics are. Everyone knows what the most of us know what the Commonwealth Games are. The Pan Am Games, with the three-legged race and the egg and spoon.
People keep saying it's a world-class event.
I never heard of it before.
Exactly.
It started ruining my town.
I don't know if people are aware of what makes a world-class event. It's the television audience, and you'll maybe get a couple million Canadian, maybe a couple 100,000 Americans.
Yeah.
Same thing with the British, and then the rest of the world will go on as if nothing is happening.
That's it. Now, let's do a few quick things. Speaking of Russia, Monday, the Hockey Hall of Fame announced its player inductees, and I
missed it.
Well, good thing you're here today, Patrick. So I'm going to tell you. I have, for once, not for once, because there have been years I've been happy. I have no complaint with what they did. They inducted Sergei Fedorov, Phil Housley, Nick Lidstrom, and Chris Pronger.
I know all of those guys, and I would say that right there means good job.
Yeah, that's it. They didn't screw up. I can't believe it. The Hockey Hall of Fame. Great. Congratulations. Wonderful. I'll double back. One more thing so people know what I'm talking about here. While we're doing the Top Gun show, it was announced Monday that Tom Cruise has agreed to do Top Gun Part 2. That news is so big, of course, we had to make the whole show about it. Top Gun 2 is coming. It's confirmed. Tom Cruise is in. What do you think?
My first thought is, who is going to be the bad guys?
Yes. Drones. The answer is drones. It's apparently they're going to fight F-18s against drones.
So it's going to be the old Skynet kind of thing where the machines take over and then it's the human pilots versus the robot pilots.
Yeah.
I think we'd probably lose.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we will, though, because they want Tom Cruise to come back for Top Gun 3. All stories aside, I want to get back to the theme of less government with a different news story that happened this week. And I don't know if people followed this or not. But here's what happened. The Conservative Party of Canada, which I think is on its way toward a serious thumping in the October election. That's my opinion. Just looking at the field right now, I think the Conservatives are going to lose.
I agree.
And I think we're looking at the Right Honourable Thomas Mulcair. That's what I believe is going to happen.
Based on the Conservative ad campaign, I would not vote for
that's
them.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. Okay. And I asked the Voice of News, Amanda Capito, before I went on the air. I asked her, I said, do you know about this story? And she sort of heard about it, but she didn't care. Because I wanted to be sure this isn't something I care about or the people I know care about. It's this. So the Conservative Party has an ad making fun of Justin Trudeau, or at least saying he doesn't take ISIS seriously. And the Conservative Party used images of ISIS drowning those guys in a cage, and they played the ISIS anthem, I guess they have, in this commercial attacking Justin Trudeau. And then one guy from the Conservative Party, a guy I happen to know, but he's not really relevant. I don't like him, but he's not relevant to the story. I'm not going to make a big thing. He was defending it, right? He's like, we're telling the truth. And he was asked by, I guess, our colleague, Tom Clark, because it was such a big company at CTV, he was asked, doesn't that violate your own bill, your own law, C-51, where you can't use terrorist propaganda and you can't, promote terrorist stuff? And here you are, the conservatives who created Bill C-51. Here you are using ISIS stuff in a commercial. And this conservative guy's like, well, we're telling the truth or whatever. He had no answer, right? It was really bad. And Tom Clark, are you going to use more terrorist stuff in commercials in the future? There's an article by Tabitha Southey in the Globe and Mail from Friday. Take a look if you want to see it. But here's the thing that is the reason I think the conservatives are going to lose. I'm a guy on the slight right. So are you, I think, Patrick, right? We're limited government guys.
Absolutely.
And you look around at who may win the election here in Canada in October, and you got basically three choices. You got Justin Trudeau, who I don't want to belabor it. I think the voters are generally seeing that he's just too unintelligent. And I don't mean to be ad hominem or it's the truth,
but
right?
He really
just
seems simple.
Yeah. And I think he probably one day somehow will be prime minister. If I had to guess, I don't think it'll be this year. And then you got Thomas Mulcair, an unrepentant socialist. And then you've got Stephen Harper. Okay, fine. Out of those, guys like you and me, the target audience, Patrick, we'd probably vote for Stephen Harper, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have some issues with him, but regardless.
Right. But these are guys who do a big thing like Bill C-51 about surveillance and what you can do and what you can't do, what you can't say. And guys like you and me want less government.
Absolutely.
And not only do they have all-encompassing surveillance, security state crap like Bill C-51, the conservatives, they can't even get it straight where they don't break their own law, seemingly, in their advertising. I think they're tripping over themselves, and they don't understand their target market. Guys like you and me.
I was just going to say, if you're trying to rally up the base, what a horrific misstep on both accounts. The bill in the first place, and then actually using ISIS propaganda films in an ad campaign.
Yeah. If you want to win and you're a conservative party, you know what? I got two words for your slogan. Less government. That's it. Less government.
That would rally me more than what they've done.
Exactly. And they're not doing it. And that's why they're going to lose. And the fact that they are so smug, the Conservative Party and the guys who work for them. And it's not, by the way, the far right. It's not about their politics. Not because they're right-wing and limited government. It's what I call the deep right. Because all they do is talk to other people who think like them. I'm fond of saying that conservatives are ideologically bilingual because we know what liberals think and we know what we think. But some of these guys, including guys who represent the Conservative Party right now, all they do is talk to other Conservative Party guys, and they don't realize how bad they come off. And that's why I think the Conservatives are going to lose in October.
Yeah, they recycle their own ideas amongst their small groups as opposed to getting in arguments with liberals, which is the right way to do it.
Yeah, don't act like one of them. You're not. You're supposed to be on the right with us. Less government. You're welcome. This is Theo Caldwell. We'll be right back.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. There's no tenderness like before in your fingertips.
More from Theo Caldwell on News Talk 1010.
This gives me an idea for a name for the program, Patrick. The Righteous Brothers, Theo and Patrick, the Righteous Brothers, or the Self-Righteous Brothers.
Oh, even better.
That's all right. That's it. Write that down before I forget it. And I have not lost. I've been the text board has certainly not lost the loving feeling. I've been getting a lot of reaction at 71010. If you're listening live, text me at 71010. I'm reading every text. I have to stay late and text you back. I don't have time. If you're listening again to the podcast, just enjoy and you're welcome. I did get, I think, the best text I've ever received on any show on this ever.
Hate text or love text?
No, it's just whatever. We were talking about the Gay Pride Parade, which is just pride, and I'm some kind of a racist if I call it gay pride, right? I didn't. Nobody gave me the memo. Anyway, Pride Parade, right? And I was saying how everyone's walking around, or people are walking around nude, and I'm asking if that's true. In the pictures I saw, seeing a lot of nude people.
We had a caller call in and say it's about 1 in 1,000, but there is definitely nude people there.
All right, fine. Somebody, you know how they like are all over Rob Ford to go to the Pride Parade, and I talked about it during the campaign. I talked about it all last year. I just find it, and I find it unseemly the way they make it such a shibboleth that any politician has to go to the Pride Parade. It's the only event I can think of where you have to go or you're the worst bigot in the world. You're worse than Hitler if you don't go to the Pride Parade, right? Even 2 weeks ago, a reporter from, I don't know where, CP24, I think, asked Rob Ford, as he's coming out of hospital, are you going to go to the Pride Parade? You know, just leave the guy alone. He's recovering from, like, cancer in his soft tissue. Why don't you bug him about the Pride Parade? But
get your priorities in order.
With that in mind, this phenomenal text comes in dealing with the Rob Ford thing and the nudity that I asked about. Person 1887 in Toronto. The nudity issue will be solved if Rob and Doug Ford finally go to the parade and go only wearing thongs. Not only will nudity be banned, but many will no longer be gay.
Exactly. That's a great text.
Yeah, that's it covered a lot of stuff. Now that's the text. Everything I just read was in quotations, but boy, that's a problem solver right there.
Absolutely. That texture knows how to get stuff done.
Let's get stuff done. And the rest of you texting, I'll stay. Kathy from Burlington, thank you. I'll get to you after the show. Now, we got to fly through the rest of the week because we spent a lot of time on these very serious social issues in the danger zone. But a few more things I got to deal with here. This is crucial. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, Toronto's own or Canada's own Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck announced their divorce this week. You see that?
Yeah.
They have, I don't care, but I wrote it down when I saw it in the news. I don't know if they have incompatible Q ratings or what the hell. Wednesday was Canada Day, and the nation turned. How old did the nation turn on Wednesday, July 1st?
I don't care. I got time and a half. That's all that matters to me.
Okay, good. God bless Canada. 148. Nation turned 148 on Wednesday. Yeah. And a study that was released around the same time, apparently 8 out of 10 beavers prefer Canadian wood.
Yeah, of course.
I saw that joke and I thought, you know something? That's a Bullard. I guarantee Bullard's been using that joke on Canada Day. Was he in on Canada Day, Mike Bullard?
Nobody was.
Okay. Well, listen, Bullard, use it in good health when you get back, buddy. Wednesday, this is also important. And we could have made this the theme of the show, buddy. On Wednesday, the new Terminator movie, Genesis, came out. What do you think about that? A new Terminator movie.
Haven't seen it, but the second Terminator was my favorite movie of all time.
Judgment Day. Dun, 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 dun. I do that for my dog. My dog goes crazy when I do the theme from Terminator. It makes him, he could be dead asleep. Dun, 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 dun. He loves it.
It's iconic theme.
Yeah, so it's my dog's favorite movie, and it's up there for us too. Let me fly through this because I got one more big thing I want to do by the end. A couple of more hockey things. Mike Richards. Okay, get this. Mike Richards used to be the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, right? They shipped him and Jeff Carter to the LA Kings because of some off-ice thing. They promptly won 2 Stanley Cups with the LA Kings. But now this poor guy, Mike Richards, or whatever, he was released, just fired completely, had his contract voided by the LA Kings. Did you see that?
They cut him.
Something about OxyContin I read. Nobody knows for sure. What a mess. Here's a good hockey story, though. 2 good hockey stories in a row. One, mind my own business on, this isn't really in the news, but it happened. On Wednesday, minding my own business, all of a sudden a text comes through. And I'd ignore it. And then another text comes through. And I pick up the phone in the by and by. And I've mentioned many times that I'm friends with the greatest Leaf ever, Doug Gilmour. It was from Doug Gilmour. He sent me a picture of I don't know if this is a secret, I should have asked him, a picture of a whole thing of wine with his name on it. And then he was saying, coming soon. Doug Gilmour, killer, has his own line. They got the red, the white, the rosé.
Doug Gilmour vintages.
That's it. I don't even drink. Don't tell anybody because I'm an Irish novelist.
Me
but
neither.
Doug Gilmour has his own wine coming out, and he has I don't know if he stomps it himself or what with those Hall of Fame feet of his. But God bless him. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I'll be back on the sauce if it's true.
No, you know what? I will too. I would break the fast just to have a Doug Gilmour, cheeky little square-shouldered back. That's what I said to him. I said, finally, a wine that can score and knows how to back check.
Perfect.
You're welcome, killer. Use that as the advertising. Now, finally, last hockey story. I swear, last hockey story of the week, and this is a big one and a good one. Phil Kessel's out of here.
Finally.
He is gone like a prawn who yawns at dawn. Phil Kessel, sent to the Pittsburgh Penguins for, I don't know, Kapanen, Harrington, Huckenton.
It doesn't matter.
So a couple of draft picks and a bucket of pucks. Fine. Get rid of him. He's gone.
He had the worst attitude of any athlete I've ever seen, in Toronto at least.
Yeah, no, it was not no, Robbie Alomar had a pretty tough attitude.
I don't recall him.
Did you just say you don't recall Robbie Alomar, who played second base, won the World Series twice? Hall of Famer, Robbie Alomar?
What, with the Jays?
Yes.
You mean the year that I was born?
Fine, but haven't you heard about it? I mean, the villagers in the mountains sing folk songs about that. You don't know about the Jays?
Guzman, that was it. He was the only one.
How is it you know Guzman, but you don't know Robbie Alomar?
I don't know. I just heard it a lot.
All right, we got to have a very serious discussion after the program. All right, so that happened. Phil Kessel's gone. You know, we were just hard on Phil Kessel right then. He's a dynamite scorer and everything else, but it wasn't working out. Now, Dion Phaneuf is next. We need to really rebuild, and I'm happy to see the process is underway. We didn't get a clip for this, but on Thursday, Stephen Colbert interviewed Eminem on a Michigan public access show. It was excellent. Here's something close to my heart. And this concerns me. On Thursday, Maria from Sesame Street announced her retirement. You know Maria from Sesame Street, right?
I was never a Sesame Street kid.
Oh, God. Manny, I'm all alone on this one. All right. She was on Sesame Street for 44 years. So I'm leaving Sesame Street. What concerns me even more is that Maria isn't her real name. Her real name is Sonia Manzano. What the hell? Like, is my whole childhood a lie? Maria's not even Maria? Is Mr. Hooper still alive somewhere? What's going on?
Yeah, the Muppets do have funny voices now. I did watch it a little bit when I was a kid.
Well, I think it was Family Guy that dealt with that. The reason the Muppets have funny voices is because Jim Henson didn't get that lump checked. And now we have wrong-sounding Muppets because he had to get replaced.
Yeah.
Okay, here's something. All right, it is the summer, okay? And so I said, you know this program, Patrick, I go off on cops sometimes because I'm a limited government guy and I'm not a big fan of modern policing, okay? But here's something that happened on Thursday. In Washington, D.C., there was a hoax saying that there was a shooting or something at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C.
Which did happen once.
Fine. And the whole place went into lockdown. And you know how I feel, Patrick. I am frustrated that in modern society we accept the fact that lockdown is just a term. We just accept lockdown.
Which is the instant police state.
Yeah. Freeze in place, shelter in place, or the police. And
Don't
you know
leave
what?
your home.
Every time I see on the news, and I usually have CP24, our colleagues at CP24 on in the background, and I see something locked in any city, Boston, Washington, whatever, it's always the same thing. Sirens and flashing lights and cop cars as far as the eye can see, civilians nowhere nearby, and a bunch of corpulent cops standing around.
SWAT guys riding around on APCs. It's not even regular beat cops and cruisers anymore.
And I've become so jaded. Like I mentioned Bill C-51, the so-called anti-terror bill that Harper put through, supported by Justin Trudeau, Derek Zoolander, Justin Trudeau. I'm so jaded that when I hear lockdown or terrorist, I don't believe it anymore. I don't believe it. It's one of the reasons I don't believe in NSA surveillance. It's one of the reasons I don't believe in Bill C-51, although I haven't read the whole thing because, to repeat, I don't feel like it. And so when I see something go into lockdown, I assume it's a hoax. And in the case of the Navy Yard in D.C., turned out it seemed to have been. And speaking of hoaxes, this has been happening all week. Poor old WestJet. What the hell? Like 5-6 hoaxes called into WestJet flights.
I have a theory about that. It's because they're all WestJet. I imagine it's someone who either has a personal problem with WestJet, a disgruntled passenger, or an employee who doesn't like that they don't get shares in WestJet anymore or something like that.
No,
but it's terrible.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Really going to hurt their business because if I need to fly somewhere, I'm not going to book one on WestJet. Not because I think there's going to be a terrorist attack, but because I don't want to risk a delay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not right. Whoever's doing it, knock it off. All right? Knock it off with the thing.
Cut it out.
This was good news. I was very happy about this. I mentioned Rob Ford earlier. On Friday, Rob Ford, former mayor, now city councilor in Ward 2, guy who's taken a lot of abuse and had a heck of a hard time with this cancer in his soft tissue. He was given clearance to return to work for a couple of days.
We spoke to him on Joe Warmington's Late Shift Tuesday, 10 to midnight.
Really? On Night Swept? He was on Night Swept with Joe?
He sounded great, actually. He really... when you do chemo, you kind of sound like this, and you get the wind taken out of your sails sort of thing. But he sounded completely different. You could tell he's on the rebound.
Yeah, well, listen, good for Rob Ford. I'm glad he's feeling better. Good for Joe Warmington getting him on Night Swept.
An exclusive.
Tuesdays at 10 p.m. to 10 to midnight. So that was good. I'm very happy. Friday as well, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch came out with this study, and we reported it there all over the place, saying that Canada is the loonie, the dollar is going to fall in value, and that Canada is already in recession and entered recession in the earlier part of this year. I bring this up, first of all, just to mention as a news story that happened Friday, but to ask, does anyone in the last couple of minutes of the show, do you know what a recession is? Technically, do you know what the definition of a recession is? I don't know if this B of A
Can I guess?
Merrill Lynch story is accurate, but do you know what a recession is? Go ahead.
Is it two straight quarters of economic downsizing?
Of economic
loss,
of negative economic growth. That's right. That's right. How'd you know that?
Because I've been watching Bloomberg, whatever it is.
Nicely done. And by the way, those of you texting, I can see credit for unspoken thought. But yeah, 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth is what a recession technically is. And I just tell you that because the news always says recession and nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. Oh yeah, we feel like a recession.
But it's a concrete thing.
It's a thing. 2 consecutive quarters. It's a term of art. As I say, it's economic argot. 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. And according to Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, I don't see why it's their business what Canada's going to do. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. We've already started doing that in Canada. We'll see. Time will tell. Good news, Friday, Saturday, Ontario Superior Court dismissed Toronto's case against Uber. We love the Uber, right?
Absolutely. I agree with that one.
The spontaneous order of the Uber. And finally...
Deregulate cabs, though, as well.
We've been declaring independence this entire broadcast. It is the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to our millions upon millions of American listeners. Thank you for listening, folks. This has been an excellent broadcast. You truly enjoyed it. This is Theo Caldwell. Good night.
You